everyone, welcome back to another art time lapse. Today I'm working on a balloon animal piece, a smaller piece on a 7-inch by 7-inch watercolor paper, and I'm just trying something out. It's a little different from the technique that I usually use. You can see that I'm trying to do a balloon animal, and I thought that would be really cool to try out how I can paint such an effect. I started using with acrylic gouache with plenty of water to mark roughly where the balloon animal would be, and then I just waited for it to dry and then added on my next layer using just more pigmented colors with less mix of water. I do have a reference picture where I googled balloon animal who's sitting in front of me just to kind of figure out how it would look approximately, but speeding it up you can see that it looks pretty messy. At this point in the beginning, it's one of those times when it doesn't look beautiful, it doesn't look cute, and you feel like it ramming your head against the wall because it's just not really there. But it's one of those times in a painting where you just have to push through and trust the process, and hopefully it will work out. Here I'm using a lot of cobalt blues, mixing in with some darker shades. I think I've also added in some violet colors as well to create the darker shades, so it's not just like pitch black. Here I started off with lighter colors and then layering on top with darker colors. At the end I think I'll probably go back with some lighter highlights, but right now, what do you guys think? Do you feel like it's balloon animal feel-ish, or looks pretty solid to me? If you maybe need a little bit more reflection, I'm not sure. For those of you who are asking, I am using a soy sauce dish for my water paint mixing. Don't worry, I don't use this for food or dining at all. This is specifically for me to paint. I find it really helpful for something small to be in my hand, and I want something that's kind of white, so I can see, especially a mix of water, I can see clearly what color it looks like. I just picked it up at my local supermarket for I think 25 cents, maybe like $1 back in the day. I don't know if things with inflation has gone up significantly from now on or since then. Here I'm now adding in more highlights now that I've marked out where the darker layers are, using a little bit of baby sky blue, and then probably will highlight with some whites at the end. For those of you who are curious, I am using Holbein acrylic gouache. It's something that I've been really enjoying this medium over the last, I would just say, it's probably spent around like 6-7 years on it since I started on it. It's been like my favorite medium. I started off with watercolor and I was really frustrated with it because there's this huge time constraint where you have to work on a piece and finish it while the watercolor is not dry yet, and I just don't like to be rushed at all. Then I moved on to acrylics, which I really do enjoy. I love how opaque and how you can layer on colors, but I do miss that translucency and dreaminess that you get with watercolor, which is why I nicely landed on acrylic gouache, which is something kind of like in between if watercolor and acrylics had a baby together. Don't know if that's the best way to put it, but so I found acrylic gouache at my local art store at Opus Art Supplies in Vancouver, but I think you can pick it up at any art store. You can pick it up at Amazon as well, online, and it's really nice in that if I do dilute it with lots of water, it gives me the watercolor effects. If I add less water, it gives me the acrylic effects. Overall, once it dries, I can layer on another type of color on top. If I make a mistake, I can kind of go back to it. And for people who use like true gouache without the acrylic kind of component, you can always add water to that particular portion and rework that area, and that's one of the highlights related to acrylic gouache. At least that's what I've learned on YouTube so far. Wow, that was a big mouthful. But if you want to learn more about acrylic gouache and the specific brand that I use, I have a separate video on it if you want to learn more about it. But by no means is it sponsored. I just kind of want to put it out there for other artists. If you're kind of trying to rediscover yourself or looking into trying another medium, if you are looking for someone who's been trying it out and their experience with it. Here I'm actually spending quite a bit of time kind of going back and forth, adding in the highlights and making sure that it's showing a little bit of a reflection from the balloon. it's been really fun so far because I've never painted anything like this. Like I usually draw pieces that are more solid, so things like this that are more translucent with a shine and like you can see through it. It's just not something that I'm used to, so I'm definitely stepping outside my comfort zone. And again, if you like the content on this channel, please consider like, subscribe, and sharing. It will really help a lot. Thank you so much for considering. Here, going back, at this point, I think I've spent around, I think this is day 2 on the piece. Something like this that has 7-inch by 7-inch block generally takes less time as opposed to larger pieces, of course. And I'm just having fun with this piece. I'm not minding too much if I make a mistake, and I think it's harder to tell if there is a mistake with a piece such as this because it's just so random, I would say. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but it's hard to tell if like add extra dot and if that's a mistake or not. So here I think it's really popping so far after I've added in some of the white highlights, and then I'm going to paint in the background a little bit more to make it a little bit more solid. Of course, I want to keep a light background so that the centerpiece will be focused on this balloon animal. I actually am considering doing a whole series on this because it's actually a lot of fun painting these balloon animals. It's a really great stress reliever. I think I'll probably add a character onto this balloon animal that's riding onto it, and then add a series where there's a number of different ones. So here, I think it's really coming out. Gonna get my light apricot out. Thank you so much for the subscriber who explained to me about this color and the proper terminology for it. I really do appreciate it. Here, I'm just gonna add a little character that's gonna be sitting on the balloon animal. I must say this is probably inspired by my child. I would imagine she would love to sit on a giant balloon animal. Here, just marking down where the character would sit. I want the character to be very round, just like the animal, and maybe sitting on the animal along with another stuffed animal on it. Want it to be like a really playful piece. So I think I'm almost wrapped up once I add in the details. You can hear I'm adding in the hair, 2 ponytails sticking on the side. I think that's just so adorable and darling. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this art time lapse of this balloon animal series number 1. I think I will be working on maybe 1 or 2 more to the series. But anyways, in case you're curious and want to draw balloon animals, feel free to follow along this video if it is helpful. Well, that's it for now. I hope you guys all take care and stay safe and stay creative. Bye for now.